And if you're a powerlifter, you know that that's just a terrible position to start from.
It's a double pulse neurology. You're tense to extend, you're relaxed on your way out, and then you're tense at the end.
Powerlifting is a non-contact sport. Build that fast twitch muscle, the slow twitch muscle, then you could compete in this sport.
Do you have it in your bag?
Oh yeah, I do. Should I show you?
A lot more rare than people think. People think that is the norm. Like you walk into a gym, and there's like this myth of like the intimidating bodybuilder, the intimidating powerlifter.
Yeah.
And I can see why. Powerlifters especially, they're always like screaming in the gym, they're taking up a lot of space.
That's another misconception. A lot of times people think they're screaming, but I don't scream when I lift.
But there's some screaming.
But there
out
are some, yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a high energy sport, you know, and I think people who come to the gym and they want to have like a quiet yoga time routine, that's not the right place for it. If you're in a weightlifting gym where there's plates and barbells, you shouldn't expect it to be silent. It's you're exerting force on, you know, resistance to get to the earth. Yeah, great point. Yeah. It's gonna, you know, especially as you get towards your maximal limits, you're gonna scream. You know, it's gonna get you whatever gets you psychologically ramped up.
Oh, for sure. Use any like smelling salts or anything?
Oh, dude, I fucking love smelling salts. I'm like addicted. It's caffeine.
Do you have it in your bag?
Oh yeah, I do. Should I show you?
Yeah. Do you want to crack?
Yeah. This one is Zone smelling salts. There's a bunch of brands now.
Do these guys sponsor you?
They do not. But
here, do a commercial real quick over here.
Zone smelling salts. Take a whiff and you'll feel like a madman. Woo!
I've had 300 milligrams of caffeine.
It's gonna make you awake. It's temporary though.
I'm scared.
Feeling awake, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm addicted to this now. This is a part of my life. Holy
It's smelling salts now. So back in the day, you know, you use smelling salts just to wake up someone who's unconscious, right? Someone who fainted. Now that the science behind it is so advanced, oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh, it's so good.
It is a little bit, let's say, it's as technical as powerlifting.
Yeah, I would say more so.
But the technique is more imperative, but the consequences aren't as grave because the weights aren't the same.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not, you know, these guys can probably deadlift 600. They could probably squat 7, 8, but they're not snatching 7 or 8.
That's true.
Snatching 225, snatching 315 maybe.
Yeah.
And that's so because the weight is lower, it's necessarily lower consequence. If the technique is, you know, as important as powerlifting.
Sure.
But and I'm not an Olympic lifter. I'm just dabbling right now.
Yeah.
But it's very similar to striking.
Interesting.
So like powerlifting is a lot what I would say bodybuilding, powerlifting, but more powerlifting is a lot like grappling.
Oh yeah.
And it's a lot of isometric strength. You gotta hold somebody, move them, and keep constant tension throughout each movement. If
That's
you don't,
a great. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And in striking, there's something. I don't know who coined this term. I want to say it was Robin Black, but I love this term, and I think it's a super apt analogy, or a super good way to describe this motion. It's the double pulse neurology, in that you're tense to extend, you're relaxed on your way out, and then you're tense at the end. And that is kind of more Olympic lifting. You know?
That makes complete sense to me.
You're exploding at the bottom.
Yes.
You're exploding to catch.
Yeah.
And you can see they kind of almost have like a relaxed.
But in that in-between time,
yeah.
it's a flow.
It's a flow, yeah,
it's
exactly.
A flow.
That bar, because they're not lifting the bar, they're throwing the bar.
They're throwing it, yeah.
And then catching it.
I've always admired, it's beautiful to watch, really.
And that double pulse neurology is there for Olympic lifting. You know, and not so many Olympic lifting injuries. I mean, they're there for sure, but I mean, every powerlifter has some kind of injury, right?
Well, that's true, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that poor training, and that's why I want to throw my hat in the ring with coaching, because I feel like the way I train, you can't around. Because I don't use a belt, because I don't use sleeves, a lot of my training is intuitive based, so I don't push myself if I feel that my body isn't ready in that day for a max effort, because then I'll just get injured and then it's not worthwhile. Then I'm set back for, you know, months, you know, the worst case scenario. So a lot of my training is built around establishing a strong foundation so that you you're set up. You can't set up yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You are going to be at peak week where you need to be. If you feel you're not going to make it, it's psychological. It's not physical. And so much of MMA and weightlifting and powerlifting it's a mental sport. You know, you have to have. You mentioned earlier that it takes a certain kind of individual to powerlift. That's absolutely true. A lot of it's just pain, right? But it's managing pain.
Yeah.
So is MMA. Training is pain. Cutting is pain. You know, during your camp, getting to the final part of it, you know, getting it all together and getting into the ring is not the most painful part, at least from my perspective as a non-MMA combatant. You know, it's the camp itself.
Yeah.
You know, and all the mental strain you go through and thinking, am I ready? Am I ready? Am I going to be better than my opponent? Am I going to have just that extra step, that extra speed, that extra reaction that he's not going to have? If I trained enough, and knowing their specific proclivities, hopefully, you know what your opponent's good at or not good at. In powerlifting, you don't have that as much, except it's against yourself. It's about how much belief do you have in yourself, you know, in conjunction with training appropriately. So you could hit a weight in training every single day. You get on the platform, you're nervous for some reason, maybe your family's out in the audience watching, or you saw someone else just hit a big lift that is your best, and you're like, I can't do that. And you get under the bar and you have that kernel of doubt, you better believe you're probably gonna fail that lift. And it's not gonna be because you weren't strong enough. It's gonna be because you doubted yourself.
You said you had a strong back because of your mother.
Oh yeah,
my
mother's fight.
What is your background? What is your ethnic background?
Oh yeah,
contributes to your strong back.
I Dominican and Irish. So
and your mother is?
My mother's from the Dominican Republic, and funny enough, my sister did an ancestry. I refused to do that thing, but now it's there, and now the government and everyone else knows all about my bloodline. But apparently, I had I have Cambodian blood and Trinidad and Tobago, like 10%. So a lot of island, Caribbean. And so I think that mixture of people from the Caribbean that often worked in farm labor intensive activities. Like my grandfather was a farmer all his life.
Right.
Like he had thick hands. On my mother's side, he had thick hands and a strong back because just for 40 plus years of his life, that's what he did. He grew coffee and he grew rice and potatoes.
Now I'm thinking about island food. I was drawn to powerlifting just because of my background. We were kind of dabbling in all types of fitness, all types of fighting.
Yeah.
And I was drawn to powerlifting initially. I didn't get to compete or anywhere near the numbers that you're putting up. But the thing that really pulled me in was I didn't have to diet. What is your best powerlifting meal?
Ooh. So my favorite go-to, if I had to pick a go-to, is, and I did this actually right before my second to last comp. I had baked chicken, rice and beans, some sweet plantain, and something called a limonana, which is basically just a island version of lemonade. It's made with lime, a little bit of sugar and water. And that shit hit so well. It was so good. The reason I like that meal is you get the carbohydrates from the rice, a little bit of protein from the beans. The beans flavor the rice, you pour them on top. And the baked chicken, if you get a salsa, it's usually a tomato-based salsa. It's not like Mexican salsa where it's spicy. It just adds more. If you make the baked chicken right, it's already juicy, and the tomato sauce just adds a little more acidity to it. So I would always eat like baked chicken breasts, and I love that because it gave me the energy I needed without the bloat that you would get from like a hamburger or something like that.
Who's making this chicken?
Oh, it's usually like a Dominican spot. Like in my neighborhood, I'm close to Washington Heights, so there's a bunch of Dominican restaurants near me. If not, when I was younger, my mom would make my meal. But pro tip and crucial, if you were ever going to continue your strength training, the meals you had the day before influence directly how your training goes the following day. So you could have a great meal the morning of and lunch if you train in the evening, but if you had a poor meal the day before, your energy level is going to be way less than it should be. Oh. So you always train and eat and prepare the way that you want the day before you hit a big number.
Up. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you already trained today?
I did already train today.
All right. Well, let's get you fueled up for tomorrow's workout, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Yo quiero dos órdenes de medio pollo blanco con arroz blanco, habichuelas rojo y plátanos. Sí. Y yo quiero una limonada y él quiere un presidente.
Why chicken?
White chicken?
Yeah, I thought powerlifters wanted like maximum calories.
I eat the chicken, it's cleaner and it lets me digest it faster and more easily. And so after I make weight, my tradition had always been to go to Pizza Hut and get a double crust stuffed pizza with chicken on top of it, and I'd have like half a pie of that. And that would get me carved up, and I'd be bloated as fuck. But I loved it, and it made me happy because I'd be depriving myself of that for like 2 weeks.
So Pizza Hut over New York City style pizza?
In that instance, yes. It's literally just lemon. You can see it has a slightly different color than most lemonades. It's a little dark because it's made of lime as opposed to lemons. It's good. You want to try it?
Yeah.
I love it. That's what I grew up drinking.
Yeah, it's a little bit more bitter than lemonade.
Oh yeah. So just to give you a sense of the spread, I know we discussed earlier, one of my go-to meals before competition is Dominican food.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Dominican household, and this is a prime example of a classic meal. We got, in Spanish, arroz blanco, or white rice, habichuelas rojo, which means red beans, plantain maduro, which means sweet plantain, and then pollo medio de blanco, which is just half a breast half a breast white meat chicken. I hope you enjoy.
I will. Thank you very much.
That's true. Guys, please enjoy. This is a different salsa. Let's see what this is. Oh yeah. Pro tip, you put, there you go. You know how it goes. Gotta put that rice right, the beans right on that rice. There you go. Enjoy. Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I'm glad you're enjoying. Zone smelling salts. Take a whiff and you'll feel like a fucking madman.